Hi guys, and welcome back to the Terriers Talk Weekly Review, episode 21. The keen-eyed viewers watching will notice that we're a man down. Ben isn't with us today, but I think we've rallied the troops and we'll manage with what we've got. If you're a big Ben super fan, well, maybe next time. But right, straight into it. I think the first thing to discuss is the Swansea game. Purely because we have to. They've really not a lot to say. I was talking to Jay, as we do before we start recording, saying it's going to be a 5-minute job. I'm doubting it's even going to hit 5 minutes. I'll do what I tend to do and talk about the goal. The defence just switches off. You can't do that against Swansea, who have Joel Pirot, who is a fantastic centre-forward at championship level. We've found out already in his short time in England. Well, not in England, but, in Wales. But, yeah, you can't do that, and everyone switches off. It's simple as, and it's a good finish, to be fair, but that is their goal, and that is the only real thing of note that happened. I can't even think of any real chances. I wasn't there. It was the first game I've missed all season. Jay made the trip down. God bless you. But, yeah, it was a tough watch, I think. I imagine it was similar for Swansea fans because nothing really happened. Is it fair to say, Jay?
No, I think that's right. I think from Huddersfield perspective, it was very, very spineless. I don't even think we had a shot on target.
No.
I think Sinani tested the keeper, or slightly tested the keeper once, to make him think, oh, I might have to save that. I think a volley flew outside the right-hand side of his post. And that was about it. Yeah. It was painful to watch, like you said. Yeah. I think from both contingents of fans, that was probably the case. Swansea looked threatening at times. I think if it wasn't for Lee Nichols, it could have been 3-0. I think where we lost the game was obviously didn't score 2 goals, obviously, but in midfield as well. Yeah. I think midfield was tragic. I really hate to say it, but Hogg was well off it. I think they all were, especially Hogg. I think we shot ourselves in the foot massively by trying to play out. And we got to midfield and we just gave the ball away. Now, that's where on Saturday, I thought maybe Carlos's tactical naivety has reoccurred, but obviously we've seen in the midweek fixture that isn't the case. But no, I think there's not much more to say about Swansea, just because it was one to forget. It was the most painful showing I've probably seen this season. And travelling 12-hour round trip to see that was definitely not the best thing to do on my Saturday. But we live and learn. And we'll stay in Wales for a bit because we now have a Welsh international winger in Gareth Bale's replacement, and that is Sorba Thomas. It's massively deserved, isn't it, Jack?
Yeah, 100%. And I just want to say first and foremost that I had that exact same transition of Swansea to Wales in my head, and I'm gutted I didn't get to use that. But no, yeah, Swansea game we just want to forget about because there was no transition from the defence through to the attack, which is usually Lewis O'Brien who was off it. So there's just got to forget about it. And Tuesday night, obviously, has helped that. But yeah, Sorba Thomas. What more can we say? I think we've used all the superlatives, to be perfectly honest. It's just brilliant, and I found it quite insulting that he wasn't in the last Wales squad. I've heard rumblings that it was to do with just selection issues, and he would have been if it weren't for technicalities. But yeah, he's very clearly a proud Welshman, whether he was born in Wales or not. It's very clearly something he wants to do. I'm unaware what the TV schedule is, but if there's any Wales games on, different time to the Three Lions, obviously, I'll give him a watch. Hopefully, he gets the minutes he so desperately deserves. Looking at that Wales team, No offence intended, of course, but he's one of the brightest sparks, I think it's fair to say. But he celebrated quite well, actually. And we'll move on into Blackburn now because not much else to say other than congratulations to Sorba. But he celebrated well on the night because obviously that happened Tuesday afternoon.
Morning.
That call up,
yeah.
morning. Yeah. Thank you. You know more than me about time. But Tuesday night, really unpredictable game, I think, going into it. There was really, especially from my point of view anyway, there's a lot of uncertainty going into it. The team was quite a way away, I suppose. It's probably only 2 or 3 players, but quite a way away from what we were expecting because Levi Colwill picked up an ankle injury and Jonathan Ogg, which we sort of knew was coming, took a bit of a knock at Swansea, we believe, and replaced by Alex Vallejo. Alex. Oh Christ, we're not getting any better at this. But it was just a tricky game to call. It was 6th versus 7th. It still is 6th versus 7th, I think.
Yeah.
Even despite the 3 points. But yeah, obviously we were raving about Ben Brereton Diaz beforehand, especially Ben. And so it was a tough game to call. The form guide would have suggested Blackburn would have, had a field day because they just come off the back of beating Cardiff 5-1, and we just lost.
5-1,
yeah, Cardiff's neighbours Swansea. The game, I think the big difference, and I think I've heard this a few times, and it's nice when people agree with you, I suppose. But for me, the big difference was the way we started. It was fast. It was energetic. 3 good chances. Danny Ward, Dan Sinani, and Lewis O'Brien smacking what do you call it? The sort of where it meets.
Stanchion.
Stanchion. In the stanchion a bit behind?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, no, I've always thought the stanchion was a bit behind, but we'll call it the right angle for now.
Mm-hmm.
And fired it against that little nick off Ayala, I believe. But I think one of those chances has to go in. And it's then when you're sort of thinking, what's going to happen here? If you don't take your chances. I've supported Huddersfield Town long enough to know that you should expect disappointment. But that wasn't the case. And up steps Alex Vallejo for his first goal for Town, and sort of walk us through that goal, Jay, because there was a few phases of play.
Yeah, I think it was a really nice build-up. If I remember correctly, we switched the ball out to Sorba Thomas, who does very, very well. I think he drags it right up the wing, and it's become a normal now where he puts the left back on skates. I'm not sure who it was wearing the Blackburn shirt who was the victim of Sorba this time.
Harry Pickering. Yeah.
Yeah, you know more than me about stuff like this.
Yeah.
But if it was Pickering, I think him and Yeardom have been sobered this season. He ends up slipping over, and he lays a really nice pass into Alex Vallejo, who does unbelievably well to guide the ball into the keeper's bottom right corner, and it's 1-0 Huddersfield Town. It's a perfect way to end the first half because I felt Blackburn were going into it after we had the build-up of play where O'Brien hit the bar. Like you said, it was a very balanced game in the first half, and I think that goal really did drag us over the line to get in at half-time feeling like we could win this game. Personal note, I think Vallejo was outstanding, and that goal really, really just makes up a good performance for him. I think there's been a lot of debate, regarding Hogg and Vallejo, and to be honest, I think they're pretty much incomparable. One offers stability, and one is the Huddersfield Town stalwart in Jonathan Hogg, and the other is a breath of fresh air who we've seen come to fruition over the past 1.5 seasons in Alex Vallejo. I think they're completely different assets to the squad, and they offer completely different things. And I think to settle that debate, it's purely situational. If you're wanting to go forward and you're wanting to take risks, and you wanted to break the lines, you go for Viejo, of course. But if you want some robust figure who's going to put in these hard tackles and shift the ball left and right, it's going to be Hogg. So I think that kind of ends that interesting debate, and we'll move on to an inevitability, really, in a Ben Brereton Diaz goal, because I think that is number 5 in 2 games now, which is quite incredible. I think he scored a hat trick against.
Yeah.
I think it was.
The one we're going on to now was his 4th, but yeah, he has got 5 and 2. Yeah.
Yeah, he's an incredible player. I just thought he was, I thought he was hyped up because of his stint at the Chile national team, but he's actually a quality player. Jack, take us through that goal, because I do not think we should have let Joe Rothwell run as far as he did and as quick as he did. And to be honest, it was quite impressive.
Yeah, to be perfectly honest, I've just been trying to find out what footballer it was who made that impressive run, because I always forget Joe Rothwell's name. But you've just reminded me. So thanks for that. But yeah, it ties perfectly into what we were just saying about Vallejo and Hogg. That goal doesn't happen with Hogg, I think, because you will have noticed Rothwell, Dolan, who was really good, I've got to say, loved to carry the ball straight through, and O'Brien never got there. Vallejo definitely didn't get there, and no one was willing to commit. And what has to happen there, in hindsight, it's a beautiful thing, but what has to happen there is Pearson has to come across. No, not come across. Lees has to come across. If not, Pearson has to step in, and neither of them take control. And their experienced centre halves, they need to know that one of them, because O'Brien obviously ain't getting there to Rothwell, but it doesn't happen. And Brereton Diaz, of course, has all the time in Huddersfield, to just pick his spot past Lee Nichols from really close range, I suppose, in the grand scheme of things. But yeah, and you never know what's going on from there, because until then, the phrase like a basketball game has been used a lot in the Championship this season, I think, but it really was, up and down and up and down. A lot of that due to players like Lewis O'Brien and Joe Rothwell for either side. It's quite an interesting battle, that, because they were fairly similar footballers. But debate for another time. So yeah, when you concede that goal, you're worried, but there's no need to fear when you've got Danny Ward on the pitch. We owe an apology, we really do. Well, it's been no secret, and Danny Ward will know that he hasn't been good enough for a centre forward to get 1 goal in circa 10 games.
Yeah.
And the performances we've had sometimes, Fulham, the worst, it's not been good enough. But I think he was outstanding start to finish. And there was a point in the first half where I just started watching his movement, and I thought, oh, that's quite, he looks sharper than normal. He looks quicker than normal. And he had a couple of touches that didn't go his way in the first half. And you wonder, is it going to be another one of them days? But he was winning headers a lot. And it reminded me of, I don't want to tear up here, but Steve Mounier, at times, seriously, just the way he was battling against Ayala, he's a threat, he's a big guy, is Ayala, And yeah, it's a fantastic cross from Gareth Bale's superior Sorba Thomas. He just whips it in. It's so inviting, and just a fun little fact for you. A really good friend of mine lives directly next door to Tyler Maguire, who Danny Ward outjumped. There you go. I've walked past his house many a time walking to school. But and he was outjumped by Danny Ward. There you go. But it's a thumping header, isn't it? Down into the ground, proper centre forwards goal, and he was buzzing, rightfully so. There's not much else to say, really. Because very soon after, penalty was given, and there was a lot of confusion, at least in my end, about that penalty. But having seen it back, Jay, penalty.
Probably.
Yeah. Well, he had a great game, didn't he? But yeah,
he did. But I mean, let's be honest. It was. although there didn't seem to be much contact on the replay, it is massively reckless. I mean, that is Naby Sarr of last year when he was partnered with Richard Keogh. That is the recklessness that he was inclined to show last season. I think he gave away a penalty last season. I can't remember where it was, but that was on the same level of recklessness. I think what Brereton Diaz does very well is his first touch takes him in. Yeah. It's an absolutely outrageous touch. I think he leaves Pearson for days. And I think when you've got a player of that caliber cutting in so quickly and so sharply against and I'm not going to say he's not very agile, but we've got more agile players than Naby Sarr. I think when Naby chopped him down, there was only one decision, and I think there was a lot of confusion around the ground because the referee took his time to make the decision, a good 2-3 seconds after the tackle was made, but fair enough, penalty, and of course Brereton Diaz scores. He's in incredible form. Nichols, he guesses the right way.
Gets a hand on it, doesn't he?
I think he gets a slight hand on it, but it's just the power from Brereton Diaz, which just completely outdoes Lee Nichols, and we're back to square one. And I think it was at that point that a Blackburn fan, or it might have been 1-1, set off a flare, and I think that was at 1-1.
I don't know. It was, because I remember having a few choice words about setting off a flare at 1-1, but continue.
Yeah, and bless him, Danny Ward was there to score just as the smoke settled. So, rule of thumb is don't set off a flare when you equalise. But anyway, again, Danny Ward pops up when he's needed, finally. I think a lot of eyebrows were raised when Sorba Thomas and Josh Cromer were taken off for Ollie Turton or Cafu, as you like to label him. And was it Scott High?
No, it wasn't. That was a bit of confusion, wasn't it? It was Dwayne Holmes, but Scott High thought it was coming off because the fourth official must have misinput on the
thing. Yeah. But anyway, I think there was a lot of confusion, and this is where I'll pick up my point I said earlier about the tactical naivety of Carlos. He completely fooled me. That is not a manager who is naive in his tactics whatsoever. I think it's an opposition, but it's an opposition move to what we saw at Swansea, where he was completely outfoxed, flat on his feet, didn't have a clue, and neither did the players. But I think he made the right decision. It's an absolutely delicious ball from Turton, isn't it, to Toffolo, who does well to knock it down, or sideways. He didn't really knock it down, but you get what I mean. To Danny Ward, and that's goal number 2 for the night, and that's the winner. And I think that just shows the strength in depth that we have to bring on a substitution at right back and to make such an instant impact. It's brilliant to see, and I'll just touch on Ward a bit more. Like you said from the start, he was hungry. He was dropping in, he was receiving balls. When he dropped in, he'd turn, he'd take one touch, he'd lay it off, and he'd be off again running. I don't think there was a player on the field, maybe bar Lewis O'Brien, who ran as much as Ward. He was absolutely everywhere. I mean, his press was scary at times. I mean, it did make you wonder if this is the same Danny Ward we've seen for the past 9 or 10 games. Because he was I said to my mate, I'm not sure what he's had in his Weetabix this morning. But whatever he's had, long may it continue. Because if that's what he's doing in training, and I'm guessing that's what he's doing in training, because that's why Carlos has picked him persistently. But if that's what he's doing, then, I mean, let's just hope he can keep that up. Because I think it's fair to say he's copped copious amounts of abuse from probably close to 100% of the town fan base this season. And some you can see why we're frustrated, but if that's what he's doing every week, that's only going to do his confidence so much more. If you can do that every single week, I mean, I'm just so happy for him because he looked like a new player. I mean, what he brought to that squad on Tuesday night was just energy. He almost did what, and I'm not comparing him, no way, because he's just scored a hat trick in Europe to Harry Kane, where he drops in, and he shifts play, and he runs forward, and he's on the end of the cross. I think he did start the first goal where he linked up with, I can't remember who it was, but there he's in the box and he's won a header. So I'm just so happy for him, and I think he's the deserving winner of the Terriers Talk Star of the Week.
We got it last week, but here we are.
To be honest, he's won the game for us, and round of applause to him. Well done, Danny Ward.
Yeah, well done, Danny Ward. But just to touch a little bit more on Ollie Turton, I think rightfully so. I think a lot of the crowd was audibly frustrated, to say the least, at that substitution when they did realise it was Sorba Thomas who had gone off. But looking back on it, it actually makes a lot of sense regardless, because you think about that penalty, the ball's come over, even as far back as the penalty, the ball's come over, Sorba's nowhere to be seen. So I think he was tiring, and that makes sense because he's played virtually every minute, you know, and it worked. But even from taking it out of the heat of the moment, it did sort of make sense to me. Anyway, obviously at the time I was furious, but I was even more furious when I thought it was Scott High. But thankfully not. But yeah, as you say, Danny Ward, Star of the Week, 100%. A couple more good performers. I think Lewis O'Brien, superb. It's not really gone under the radar quite a bit, but it was fantastic. Carried us up the pitch. Harry Toffolo, another assist, you know, defensively sound. The whole back three, you know, bar the two real slips, being Pearson and Sarr. Can't really complain. And Tom Lees as well, who could have dealt with the ball in, but not the ball in, the dribbling. But yeah, and that sort of wraps that game up. We defended well right to the last. Ollie Turton again with some important clearances and positioning. So I think we're starting to see a bit better from Ollie Turton personally. But and one last thing I think to talk about that game. I sit in the cowshed, so without being too specific, I'm a few rows up from the behind the goal. Obviously to the right or left way, wherever you are in the stadium of the goal. And right at the end, Harry Toffolo came over and demanded a banner. And I'm not actually sure if Daz, who a lot of you will watch, you'll know, watches the show. But obviously he's struggling a lot at the moment. We won't go into it too much. But I think it's brilliant what both the Cowshed Loyal and the playing squad did. It was really nice to be there when that happened, and I think us at the Terriers Talk just want to echo what the Cowshed Loyal, the playing squad, the club have said, and that's just keep fighting, Daz. We're all with you, and I hope that on Tuesday you saw just how much that is true. But yeah, he might even be watching, but you know, someone might tell him. But yeah. Just fantastic from the club, and it's one of them moments where you feel proud to support Huddersfield Town.
Yeah.
But yeah, just keep fighting, Daz, if you're watching. If not, you know. But yeah. Segue on to Luton Town preview, because that's what we've got this weekend. It's a weird one. It's a really weird one. Luton are a really, really weird football team.
Yeah.
because they're very inconsistent. They seemed like they got off to a bit of a good start, and then they got thrashed 5-0 to Birmingham, I believe, a few weeks ago, around the time we beat Reading, I believe, yeah. And it was a really good performance by Birmingham, who've since been inconsistent themselves. And it's a beautiful league as the Championship. I love it so much because who knows what's going to happen this weekend? Like, not us. We can do our best to sort of pick it apart. Got some great players, Adebayo, who we know all about. Clark. They got a good solid midfield. Good players, good strength in depth. Carlos Mendes Gomez, who I don't think's kicked on actually, and played quite a lot, but I really liked him at Morecambe in the games that I watched. One of someone that I would have quite liked at Town, but it's gonna be weird, and I'm not really sure what to say because it's a tricky one to call. Jay, have you got any thoughts on it? You bold enough to make a prediction? No.
No, to be honest, especially not because they've just absolutely walloped Coventry 5-0, which is extremely impressive. I mean, no, it's the Championship for you, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
I think if we're going by rule of thumb, we're going to win 3-2 because Blackburn also scored 5 goals the game before. So, if we're going by trends, we're going to beat them. But and that's obviously, don't take that seriously because it is the Championship. Who knows what's going to happen? I mean, genuinely, and this is why it's the most beautiful league in the world. You've got us sat in 7th on 16 points. You've got them sat in 9th on 13 points. But you've also got Swansea sat in 19th who have just beaten us on 10 points. And then below them, you've got Nottingham Forest sat in 20th, who beat us also on 8 points. So really, I'm not bold enough to predict. I'm hearing that I think we've sold out an away end of about 1,032, which is healthy, and I'm sure everyone travelling will be in good voice, especially with the Luton Town away song.
Yeah, I haven't heard that one for a while.
No, exactly. That could be brought out. It'd be quite fitting.
Will. Oh yeah, 100%.
But no, I mean, to be honest, what I'm hoping to see is just building on that Blackburn performance, and especially it'll be interesting to see if Vallejo does keep his place or if Hoggy is fit. And to be honest, I just want to see a very, very good performance, because we've shown what we're capable of, but then we've also shown what our worst performance is at Swansea. So I think this week was very much a week of two halves. Started with the negative news. Obviously got better and better with Sorba. The news of Sorba getting called up. Obviously we've had Blackburn, and then it's just on to Luton, which I think it's going to be a test. Obviously, if you look table wise, you've got QPR separating us. As you said, they've got some very, very talented players, players that we know can put balls in the net. I think you mentioned a good few players, but they've also got Harry Cornick, who has been superb. I think he scored a brace against Birmingham.
Yeah, he did.
He's always been one of those players who you just want in your team, really.
Yeah, good player.
And he's one of those players who can rattle an opposition.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if they use him effectively, they've got a really good asset on their hands there. And to be honest, I'm not going to be bold enough to even predict who's going to win or if it's going to be a draw or if it's going to be a loss, because the last few times we've done that, it's come back to bite us in the backside. So unless you're bold enough to make a prediction, Jack, I think we'll move on to the news about another contract extension.
Oh, I forgot about that. That's my bad. We've done.
It's all right.
Yeah, we'll get that in. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, so Brahima Diarra, 2024.
It is.
It's massively positive, isn't it? I think we we can all agree, the three of us at the Terriers talk, and I think the whole Huddersfield Town fan base can all agree that he is one of the most talented player we have in our youth ranks. I think he's 18 years of age now.
He is, yeah.
And he's a regular in first team training. He's a regular in the B team, which is 2 or 3 age levels up. He's playing men's football to a very good standard at the age of 18, and I think it only provides a perfect pathway to the first team squad. If he's training around those bodies every single day, getting that experience, and having those figures who can mentor him, I think we'll see him in the first team squad or around the first team squad probably next year. He's massively promising, isn't he, Jack? I mean, how good is it for him and the club to tie him down for at least 3 more years?
Yeah, it's fantastic. I feel stupid forgetting this because we've ruined the flow, but that's okay because we get to talk about Brahima Diarra. I'm a massive fan of. And truth be told, as history shows, I think he could do with a loan. I really do. Even if it's just 6 months, you know, this upcoming window. You know, it worked for Josh Karoma in a bizarre way. You know, even though he didn't play particularly well, it still worked. But I think a loan to League Two club could really be good for Brahima because he's got the talent. Obviously, you know, there's Premier League clubs sniffing around him. Yeah. So I'm told. Clubs in France as well. Yeah, he's got a fantastic name as well. I mean, Brahima Diarra. Oh, can't wait to hear that one being said at the John Smiths on the screen. Yeah, that's a fantastic name for a footballer, that. But yeah, he's got talent, pace. You know, he scores a lot of goals in the B team for an attacking midfielder. He seems like he's played both fullback as well in a few games, which is interesting. He's played deeper midfield roles, so he's clearly a very talented guy. I really do. I do think a loan could be good for him, but regardless, I can see him depending on injuries and players leaving. You know, why not next year? You know, he'll probably get a good crack of the whip in next pre-season. Why not? Just is the thing, and just if you haven't heard of him already, because you know not everyone keeps intensive eye on the B team and the academies. Just watch this space, I suppose, is the only thing to say because there's a real footballer there. But yeah, seeing as though we've already technically previewed Luton in a very faffy abouty way, I think we can wrap it up there. If you're going on Saturday or tomorrow, as this video is out, enjoy yourself. It's a good away day. I myself am going. I don't know about Jay. No,
unfortunately not.
Well, I don't know about Ben either. But I hope you enjoyed this video, episode 21 of the weekly review. Like and subscribe as always if you can, if you're not already. Congratulations to our giveaway winner. I don't want to get the name wrong, but Tom. Well done, mate. Just keep your eye out, everyone, for future giveaways. If you didn't win this time, it's not the end of the world because it's not our first and it won't be our last. I can tell you that much. But yeah, thank you guys as always, and we will see you next time. Bye bye.